Let's check the journal. So we see all this happened around the same time. After what seemed like to be a seizure, Johannes found the couple in the kitchen and helped usher the weak woman to the master's bedroom. Luke elected to stay with Hannah today to care for her, singing a lullaby until sleep came over them both. How sweet. Luke woke up in the middle of the night with a scream and in cold sweat, finding comfort in the warm body next to his, which actually wasn't very warm. He tried to go back to sleep and forget the images plaguing his mind until Hannah called out from the loo. He apparently keeps a knife, kitchen knife, underneath his side of the bed, which is weird. Very weird. Let's see. Come Sunday morning, Luke continued caring for his sick wife, going as far as preparing breakfast for her, putting a smile on Hannah. Even more when he admitted worrying about their children's well-being. When sleep had taken her once again, he simply left her to rest. Funny enough, he didn't cause her to smile, he forced her to smile by putting a fake smile on her face, and it worked. Funny how that works. I'm quiet as I can be when I make my exit, tray of food in one hand, which I'm quick to pass off to Johannes as soon as I see him.
Johannes, look after her. I just need to go out.
Go out and bang someone. Stretch my legs, clear my mind, think, get a drink. I don't think having screaming, crying babies will give me much time for that once Hannah gives birth.
Is everything all right? Should I be worried?
Everything is good. Really. Best I've ever felt in quite some time, I think.
You know, her resting in bed after having a seizure.
Well, I think that's cause for concern. Shall I expect to find a corpse in need of cleanup?
He is too casual about that. I can only shake my head and grin, the deadpan delivery both amusing me and make me wonder if he is joking or not. It can easily be half and half. There has been an instance or two where that did happen with prostitutes. Dead prostitutes. But I don't give him an answer, let him keep guessing and step out for a breath of fresh air. Why is the butler so calm about disposing bodies? He must get paid an insane amount. Gray skies loom over in the horizon, though the sun fights for every precious minute it gets to stay. It'll rain again soon, with the wind bringing along the gloomy clouds normal to Luxbourne. Till then, it doesn't hurt to be out here for fresh air and sunshine. I walk to the gardens, what little of it there is at the moment anyway, and kneel by the daffodils. These were the first to be brought here and planted on my request, even though they're in a pot. Well, I guess that is being planted. And if nothing else, they brought in a sense of peace. They were Mother's favorites. Closing my eyes, I lift my chin up to welcome the light that shines upon me. And for a minute, I can imagine myself as one of the flowers, peaceful, blooming, and all too happy to stand in its warmth. Let's just cut to the end, November 1st. See his perspective on things. Life would be much easier if we were all like flowers, wouldn't it? If I didn't step out here to get all philosophical. I have problems much more practical than figuring out the meaning of life after all. Too many things have gone on these past few days. And I want to forget about them, even for just a moment.
It's almost All Saints, isn't it? To think I've almost forgotten.
I speak the words absent-mindedly. The date means nothing to me, as I neither worship the religion nor have any graves to visit. After all, Mother was never given a proper burial. But it's a date, as good as any for me to grieve, otherwise I would have done so every single day, crippling myself and shutting everyone else out. But I can remember how the flames licked at her flesh and how it consumed her body, until there was nothing left but ash. Who watches the cremation? Seriously. I didn't know that was a thing. Or was it like a sky burial where they just burned her on a pyre? I stood there watching with the operator and a social service worker, though I could have been alone for all I cared. Weird. I felt alone. It was the most that could be done. No one would attend the funeral of a dead prostitute, let alone pay for it. All that is left of her, proof that she had lived, is her name written in the ledger of Luxbourne Cemetery, a lighter, and me. Pulling out the lighter from my jacket, I can't stop myself from flicking it open to stare at the flame and to run my thumb over her name. All in all, it isn't much, but it's something. Who gets a lighter with their name on it? Maybe it was a gift. And it'll be wrong of me not to make something of myself when she would have given everything to make sure I can become anything I want to be.
Feels like I'm stuck in a nightmare right now.
A nightmare of wealth.
What I would give to have you here by my side, Mother dear. To see you smiling at me. Alive and as beautiful as ever. I'm afraid I'm starting to forget what your face looks like. I've already forgotten the shade of your hair.
Eleanor Chandler was a wonderful woman, though not everyone would have agreed. Not everyone had seen past her occupation, past her vices and her illness. All they saw was a poor woman who sold her body to make ends meet, and had a bastard son because of it. I don't know what is going on with this meowing. They didn't see the mother who worked hard to put food on the table for me, the woman who gave and gave and gave to me, while expecting nothing in return. She taught me the merits of hard work. And he even heard some of those merits, but though I loved her so, I worked hard for myself. I would not be so foolish, so selfless towards people who would never give back. I learned that from the father who plucked me out of an orphanage for his own selfish gain. What did he have to gain from it, I wonder? I pocket the lighter before I can feel the urge to actually set anything ablaze. Considering my close proximity to the flowers, they would be the most likely victim of arson. Just the thought of itself is blasphemous. Maybe we should go burn down some bakeries. Nevertheless, that doesn't save them from being picked, just enough to make a bouquet of the things in honor of Eleanor.
Would you be proud of me if you saw me now, Mother? Maybe.
Would she be proud of your body count?
You're always so forgiving. No matter what trouble I got into, more than I deserved. Especially now.
Gods. Oh, I got a cat tangled up in the wires. Okay. It's been a while since I've talked to my mother like this. You know, theoretically talk to her. I've been thinking about my dear parents far too much as of late, when I shouldn't. I have a future to look forward to and the present to take care of, and then death. These memories of the past give me nothing but grief. The life of Lucille Mitchell Chandler should be nothing but a footnote in Luke Wright's non-existent autobiography. It's because of Hannah, isn't it? I worry that she is all too much like Mother that it scares me, and the thought that I'm turning into my father is even more so, especially almost matching his body count. But even if history is so set to repeat itself, I'm not a child anymore. Content to sit aside, unable to do anything to help, and too inexperienced to think that the worst wouldn't happen. I have money to buy the best medicines and doctors if need be. She'll get better, she has to. And once we get over this little bump in the road, I can stop worrying. All will be right with the world. Unfortunately, my time alone is cut short, though.
I think those flowers look beautiful, my lord.
The
parlor, the room where the lady stays for her tea. It could certainly use some.
The voice is not familiar, though I'm not really one to remember such things. Why is he unconcerned with being called my lord? And who is this? Going with her attire, I would say she's one of the housekeepers. Strange, considering I've sent all the staff but Johann's away. And her face, as pretty as it is unfamiliar to me. Ow! That cat bite me. It would be a lie if I said that it didn't set me on edge. Most would say that I cared little for my employees. That isn't entirely untrue. But this one, he's gonna bang the ghost. However, I'd like to think I know the people who work for me, especially those who would roam my home, even if it's just a face and a name. Besides, I would remember a beauty such as her. So who is this? If she has someone impersonating a household staff to get in, she's doing a bad job of it.
Didn't you get the memo? Are you new? Today is a day off. You aren't supposed to be here.
I expect poor excuses and apologies the likes of her often give, but she merely smiles.
Oh, no. I've been a servant here since you first came.
And I see no signs of lying nor hear it in her words, yet they can't be true. But I find that I feel like I can relax. She has that sort of smile that makes one's kindness shine through without words or action. It reaches her eyes, filling them with a strange sort of mirth, as if she's just thought of something very funny, like your death. Perhaps, had it been any other person, I would have interpreted it as a deceitful grin. But the curl of her lips and the shine of her eyes are too soft to hold any malice. She takes my silence as a sign that she can continue, and it's not like I feel any urgency to stop her. I'm not really in the mood for company, but I'm not averse to it at the moment either. Entertaining a beauty like her, even if for a little while, wouldn't hurt. It helps that she proves easy to listen to, despite how oddly she speaks.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I shouldn't have bothered you. Look at me, talking to the master of the house without even asking for permission. What will the others think?
I'm gonna guess that from the time that this maid comes from, the lord of the place, seduced her or fell for her, and they, copulated repeatedly. And then the lady of the house witnessed this and burned her at the stake. I don't know.
If you'll excuse me, I'll just...
I haven't driven you away yet, have I? And it's your day off. I don't see why we can't chat a bit.
Of course. If that is what you wish. As long as it does not get you into trouble with the lady. To even take time for someone as lowly as me. No wonder that everyone under the mansion's employ is so fond of you.
Fond of him.
Though it should have no longer been a surprise to me. You have always been such a kind and loving lord.
I have to stop myself from calling her out on her shite. It's almost as if she's talking about an entirely different man. No matter how big my ego gets, I know for a fact that I'm hardly in the running for Best Boss of the Year award. Maybe he should do the whole, undercover boss thing. The only reason that most of my staff stay is because of the decent compensation. I am not cheap after all. But if she wants to lay it on thick, I'll allow it. Who wouldn't want a beautiful woman complimenting them?
I'm sure she'll be fine with this. We are just talking after all.
Look, but don't touch, although he breaks that rule frequently.
Unless you had other things on your mind when you approached me.
Oh? The words leave my mouth before I even realize what I've said. It's almost like he's reading a script. I panic a bit, and in that, I mean, he's like playing the role of the Lord, and it's kind of like possessed him and forcing him to. Though I can get away with picking up women out in the city, sometimes even out of the county, I've always taken care not to do so in my home or in my businesses. Not when it'd be so easy for Hana to find out about my infidelity through these channels. Though seriously, I still don't see what the big deal about it is. I just have an itch I need to scratch.
I know it must be amusing to see a girl flustered for a man of your stature. But please don't say such things, my lord. I saw you alone and simply thought you could use some company.
Thankfully, and I do count my lucky stars, it seems the woman takes it as a joke rather than the casual pass it was intended to be.
So how are you liking your work around the mansion? The place is wonderful, but I imagine the upkeep is ungodly with all the rooms and whatnot. I don't even want to think about how many people are on the staff roster.
Work is work, my lord. It is a way of living. A purpose from day to day. It is certainly far better than doing nothing or having no food to eat.
'Cause never mind education, never mind, I don't know, experiencing life. The purpose is to work so that your betters don't have to.
The house itself is also beautiful. There's no lack of things to look at. I'm sure you've seen those books in the study. I can't read any of them yet, but if given the chance, I'm sorry. I shouldn't be thinking of those things.
What is disturbing is the rate of illiteracy in developed nations. Very, very disturbing.
Especially when the rains, they might bring more work to us soon. It will definitely be much more difficult when it returns. Idling about is the least I should be doing.
I guess you can put it that way if you want to be brutally honest about the whole thing. And the rain shouldn't be a problem.
Not with modern roofing.
Hopefully. Maybe.
If a little dreary, at least she doesn't beat around the bush. I like the honesty. Many would bemoan their status as a household staff, as a janitor or other menial role, and believe themselves to be for greater things. And I would not begrudge the idea that one can always get better. But one shouldn't be so discontent with what they have either.
The rain is something I simply must get accustomed to, if I am to live here. I've not spent long in this place after all, but I have been told that it has rained in this nation since a mother's time, and their mother's time.
What?
There is little we can do about it. I am just glad to have time in the sun, even for a short while.
Isn't that the truth? Really, these sunny days have been welcome, though I can't imagine they'll last for long. Sometimes I just want to pack my things and leave for somewhere like, say, the Bahamas or whatnot. Get some sun and surf.
But certainly, you will return for us, won't you? This is your home, after all. Your people. They won't be pleased if the master of the house leaves.
Of course, I can't very well leave my businesses hanging here, can I? I just wish I could actually trust people enough to go on vacation without taking work with me. I've also got to get back here if I ever want proper meals. A proper pudding is something you'll never find out there.
The woman nods in understanding, and I must say that she makes for fine listening ear. Though what she says next gives me pause whether she meant for me to hear it or not.
And good tea. From what the cook has been telling me, I've yet learned how to prepare one. Perhaps once I do, it would endear the lady of the house to me. I never expected her to be so unkind after what she did for me.
Oh?
Though it's only if one catches her in a foul mood. I wish I knew how to avoid her anger.
Certainly she's not speaking about Hana. I highly doubt she means Hana. That woman rarely has a mean bone in her body. And when she actually is nasty towards someone else, it's usually deserving enough, much like with that Rochelle woman. Hell, she even tolerates Harvey for me, even if she did admit that she doesn't quite like the man. She must mean the head housemaid, right? I have to laugh at that. Not that I have room to speak, I don't deal with her myself anymore, though even Johannes has a few choice words about the head hag. He's just been under the right employer when she was also head housemaid for my father. And if anyone's not going to get along with someone, it'd be that crotchety old woman. I don't even remember her name, not worth remembering after all. But the woman had been this strict upstart bitch who took one look at me, her master's bastard son, and turned her nose up, as if she were better by mere consequence of birth. That, and she absolutely loathed my very existence. Perhaps the rumors had been true. She had a miscarriage while bearing another one of my dearest father's children, and she saw me as an obstacle to her being granted a better standing in life. I remember that much, at least. The only reason I haven't sacked her yet is because of her incompetence. Also because working under my household makes her absolutely miserable, her resignation made impossible by her pride.
Nobody really gets along with that woman. I think everyone just tolerates her because of how old she is. I mean, not to be rude or awful or anything, but she's at the age where she'll be pushing daisies soon enough.
Is she? Really, my lord? I'm sure the lady is much younger than that.
I think the thought of tormenting the young and beautiful gives her reason to live.
It does seem that way. Though I feel sorry for her. One's life should not be wasted away on hatred and anger. It is never good for the heart or the head to always carry ill thoughts. But at the least, you are here for us. We are certainly so lucky to have a lord like you. The lady even more so. The gods smile down on her. Though, if I may be honest, she is to be envied.
Even when I have my suspicions about her, she's just so easy to talk with that I've forgotten. I don't know who she is, and if she's actually one of the household staff, that would explain why she would so easily give obviously wrong statements about my character. Though, if she is here for malicious reasons, she would have done more than do small talk with me by now, wouldn't she? I have so many questions, perhaps curiosity will kill this cat.
It's strange that I've never seen you before. What's your name?
You do not remember?
Uh-oh.
I don't believe you've mentioned it, or am I missing something?
You still cannot comprehend it, can you, my lord?
Uh-oh. Her answer chips away at the good mood I'm starting to get into. I have every right to be angry at the cryptic response. She threatens insubordination with her very presence alone. But instead of hurling vitriol at the woman, I take a deep breath. I do not want my mood ruined further than it already is. Not right now, when I can let my temper take its course another time.
Whatever your name is, and no matter how long you've been working for us, that does not change the fact that you shouldn't be here. I'll call you a cab to bring you to the city if you want.
Shouldn't I? What if I do not wish to leave? I merely desire to stay by your side and serve. Is that such a deplorable thing?
Ooh, now things are getting a little creepy. Her gaze sends chills down my spine. It's too easy to see the devotion, the obsession in her eyes. Not the good sort either, as her scrutiny makes me feel like I'm laid bare. The oufness of her presence is all the more palpable, with the feeling of bugs crawling on my skin, and the silence that makes it seem as if the world has stopped. And any friendly atmosphere we might have had going for us is completely forgotten. Danger. A small part in the back of my mind screams, the part that has kept me alive all these years. And, in hindsight, I'd be stupid not to take heed of it. But I've grown arrogant, complacent, and content to hide behind wealth and power.
Yes, it's a deplorable thing, as you said, because I'd like to be alone now. Thank you very much. If you didn't want the day off, you should have reported to your superior. This is utterly unprofessional of you, and I shall be issuing complaints. In fact, if you know it's good for you, you should start looking for another employer.
It's at my threat that the smile on her face turns tight.
I see. It escapes you still. This is unfortunate. How despairing that this misery must go on. But maybe, if you come with me, I can help you. I can...
When she reaches out for me, I recoil with a hiss.
How dare you lay your filthy hands on me without my permission? I am not going anywhere with you. Now step back and walk away before I have you forcibly removed.
Whoa, that pissed her off. As if a switch had been flipped, the woman's expression turns horrific, although that may very well be the understatement of the century. She herself turns horrific. Her presence is suffocating, bearing down on me. I'm rooted on the spot through no fault of my own as my fear paralyzes. My fear paralyzes. That is such a weird word. Not weird word. Paralyses. My fear paralyzes. There we go. Having a bit of a trouble there.
You are too much like that vile woman. Poisoned by her rotten influence and her filthy words. But that can be remedied now that you're here. Oh, how we have waited to welcome you home. Come, my lord. The house beckons.
When her fingers grasp the back of my coat, I finally find it in me to break off into a run. Ow. I can still feel her eyes on me as I run back to the house. But I refuse to acknowledge it, let alone look back. All I need is to get away from her and to make sure she stays away. If that means acting like a coward and seeking out company to keep me safe, nobody can tell me to do otherwise. Bravery isn't something to be lauded if it comes along with stupidity. It must have been a sight to see the usually composed and reserved Luke Wright bursting through the doors. Not that I have much of an audience, unless there are other staff members who've chosen to disregard my orders for them to leave. Really, I still doubt that woman is one of the staff. Mustering up the courage, I look back through the windows to see if she's followed me. She's gone, but I don't take any chances putting as much distance as I can between us. Stopping to catch my breath, Johan's sudden appearance nearly makes me jump out of my skin.
Don't fucking do that, you son of a bitch! If I had a gun, I would have shot you!
You son of a bitch.
If I had any love left for my mutter, I'd take offense. But what happened to you? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Oh, if only it were such a delusion. But I can still feel her sharp nails digging into my back. The feeling was too real for it to have been a ghost.
There was his housekeeper. I think, I'm not sure. In the gardens. She was acting odd and I thought to remove myself from the scene.
Strange. I made sure the rest of the staff had left and that the house was empty, as you requested. Describe this woman.
She had pale skin, dark eyes, and long dark hair. She wouldn't give me her name.
I half expect a name from him. The man knows the staff better than I do, after all. But instead of an answer, he grows quiet. I'm pretty sure that is not a good thing. I'm even more worried when the other man looks me over. I have to protest when he pulls back my collar.
What in the bloody hell are you doing?
Checking for marks. Needle marks, to be exact. We don't have anyone like that among the staff. You could have easily been kidnapped.
A cold feeling settles itself over me at the thought. I've long established my power over the more unsavory characters in Luxborn. Or I thought I did. And the most harm I thought that could come to me would be slander, robbery, or incarceration. Kidnapping, though? An attempt on my own person? I've forgotten that I'm as human, as mortal as any other man despite my wealth and status.
Fortunately, you look unharmed. But I advise that you be accompanied by trusted individuals at all times from now on. If not me, an assigned guard. I'll be informing them of this soon, as they return from their day in the city.
Already I can feel the energy leave me at the realization of what could have been.
All right. Yes, I suppose we should do that. But I think I'd like to call it a day. I should be safe in bed, yes?
I'll stand guard outside for the night. The madam has been inquiring about you, by the way.
Guard. Any other threat in he alone would be enough to make me feel safe. But what I saw, whatever it is I saw, would one man be enough?
That's all well and good. But there's something else. That housekeeper. She.
Luke, you're home. I was worried about you.
The grin that I can muster is probably lopsided. Forced as I snapped my mouth shut to keep myself blabbing about witches and monsters. Because here I am, standing in the hallway, dirt on my pant legs and sweat dotting my forehead. A far cry from my usually pristine condition. I don't want to worry Hannah. A cough.
What happened to you? You look like you wrestled in the mud and lost, dear. And those flowers. Were you gardening?
What? Oh, these. I didn't realize I still had them.
I really did not. But there they are, still in my grip, the daffodils I had taken from the garden. Even in the wake of my flight, I had refused to let go of them, whether I was conscious of it or not.
Shall I put them in a vase?
Should I give them to Hannah? She's gonna like that. Perhaps I did it to save face, or maybe a small part of me really had planned to take them for her. But like a young man presenting flowers to a Valentine's, I awkwardly thrust the bouquet in Hannah's direction.
They're for you.
These are lovely, thank you. But aren't these?
Surprise is to be expected. And the open-ended question needs little interpretation. I've never given her daffodils before, especially not from ones that I considered mine.
They're for you. Don't make me think that kneeling around in the dirt was a waste of my time.
It's not. It's not. Just, are you feeling all right? I hope whatever I have isn't contagious.
I'm not sick, Hana. I just got them for you. I thought they'd make you feel better, brighten up the room. I don't need my intentions questioned. The thank you was enough.
And I didn't mean to insinuate anything. But you are right. Thank you, truly, for these.
She takes them from me then, careful not to crush the stems. There is still uncertainty on her face, which endears and annoys me in equal parts. But she does look lovely with them. The very picture of her is something that should be immortalized in paint. Then they should be from Mother. But it doesn't matter anymore.
Why don't we turn in for the night? You must be exhausted with all that gardening.
What does a dead woman care for flowers? ... October 31st, Monday. Oh, it's Halloween. There was nothing about Halloween in this. Weird. Really, little sleep was had, and I feel completely drained come morning. Even when Hana rises from bed in spite of a mild fever and invites me down to breakfast, I can't be bothered to drag myself out from the comfort of the sheets. It's not like I need to do something particularly important today. The rain that has started sometime during the night doesn't help the mood. Okay, maybe it helps just a little. The strange, sunny weather has been nice and all, but for it to return as it should be feels like a good sign of things to come. Perhaps things will settle back to normal and the crazy drama that has gone on lately will die down. The rhythmic pitter-patter of the rain fills the early morning silence with a steady beat. Thank goodness I don't have to be anywhere in a hurry today. I would hate to be caught unawares in this rain. With how it looks outside, it seems that the weather is making up for all the sunny days it has given us with a good old-fashioned downpour. It does let up within the quarter of an hour. However, a day beginning with a cloudburst like this, locals usually take it as an immediate sign. Luxborn's abysmal weather is back, likely for good. I hope they did a damn good job fixing this place, because I'd rather not have to deal with leaky roofs. Though Hana might find humor in it, and perhaps ask me to sing in the rain to wear out my anger, I don't like the idea that the realty did a horrid patch job with the place. Well, Hana technically, paid millions for this place. Better live up to the price the realty company sold it for. Not that it's something she should be fretting about at the moment, when her health's not at its best. Hana is going to be brought to the hospital for a checkup today, and if anything, I prefer that she focus on getting better. That fever, no matter how slight it is, can't be good for unborn children after all. Perhaps a proper rest is all she needs, but I'd rather not assume things. I'm a businessman, not a doctor. Wonder of wonders why I even bother agreeing to babysitting duty at that. But here I am, scheduled as today's babysitter for Suarez's brat once her father drops her off the mansion steps. Drops her. He's literally going to drop her off the mansion steps onto the ground. Though that is worry for much later. If I wish to, I can ask that nobody bother me while I doze off in a cocoon of comforters. But, as always, somebody has to be a buzzkill.
Are you really going to stay in bed all day?
What do you want? It's far too early to deal with your nosiness.
You must have been really rattled by what happened yesterday. If you need to talk about it, I am quite qualified in that regard.
And you aren't even the slightest bit bothered. Truly, not even the slightest bit worried?
I was worried. But I realized that it's not my life in danger, is it? My worrying will not help matters. Neither will yours.
Loath as I am to admit it, he is right. The whole thing might have rattled me, but there is a little point in jumping at every shadow I see from the corner of my eye. I shouldn't lose my head for a threat that might not even come. I should know better by now. But I've never been this worried about a possible threat to my life before. I'll be honest here. If anyone is in danger, it's Hana. I can take care of myself just fine. With security tightened, I'll have at least one guard, if not 5, making sure nobody gets within 10 feet of me without my say-so. Hana, on the other hand, is pregnant and will be away for most of the day. It is a small relief that Johans will be with her.
Are there any updates about the woman?
Being in the dark has me on edge. Information, any at all, may very well help me in calming down.
I've already briefed security about her, and more from the agency will be arriving tonight. but they haven't seen anyone fitting the description.
So you have nothing then? Fat lot of use you guys are. What do I even pay you for? Do me a favor. There's the door. Don't let it hit you on your way out.
Well, there is something. It's about McCulloch.
Oh? Can anyone blame me if I show the tiniest bit of interest? She's still not done with the house, and she's a nice enough woman. Plans to go back to sleep are gone.
I called her secretary about taking the day off. He hasn't heard from her over the weekend.
She's probably passed out after enjoying a pint or two or 10 in a bar somewhere. She's an adult. It was the weekend. She's allowed to disappear and not think about work. Fuck. I wish I was passed out after a night of drinking. He does know that mobiles are a thing.
That's all well and good, but she's not answering her mobile either. Mr. Parker will be filling a missing persons case with the police if she doesn't turn up today.
Certainly, someone must know where she is. Tabs are kept without fail on people who come to work with me. Background checks and constant surveillance until they've finished their contracts with the rights. Some would say that it's a bit over the top. But I can't be too safe. Too many want me dead.
What about one of ours? Has anyone seen her? She's pretty hard to miss with how tall the woman is.
The last anyone has seen of her was here, the morning of the party. Your housewarming party.
That isn't good news.
It wouldn't do for the police to hear of this and to suspect.
It's of little import that I can easily prove my innocence. It is all a matter of principle. Because even the accusation of misdemeanor should not stain my reputation, although maybe it is a bit too late for to hope for a squeaky clean one. Besides, it'll be such a hassle to have police poking around the house, looking for a body that doesn't exist.
Now, if we're done here, I'd like to go back to sleep and...
Where are you?
Well, there goes any plans of grabbing some shut-eye, rolling over on my stomach, and I can only scream into my pillow.
Of course, of course. Ah.
Did you stub your toe again? Tia said you should always use your indoor voice when you have visitors.
Johans, distract her.
Oh, look, it's time for me to go. Have fun with your little play date. So long, farewell, and auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.
No, Johans, don't you turn away from me. Keep her busy for an hour. Come on!
I have to press my face against the pillow once more to suppress a groan. You just can't get loyal help anymore.
Hello there, little Fraulein. Your uncle is just upstairs and will be down in a moment. He is super excited to have you today. So I hope you're well rested and ready to play a lot.
That bastard. I'll be down in a sec, Munchkin. Let me just...
Change into a fresh shirt, brush my teeth, fix my hair, bemoan my very existence. Wish I was anywhere else in the world right now. Don't get me wrong, Kylie is a great kid, wonderful, better than most brats her age. But handling a tyke is the last thing I want on my agenda right now with this whole Hana business. Fortunately, I'm well versed in how the world works. I've long learned that the show must go on no matter what hurdles come in my way. So I set to preparing for the day. Running a comb through my hair is just divine and simply makes me feel more human. Bed hair is disgusting, though isn't as bad now as it was when I was a child. With how expensive a trip to the barber's was, I often had to grow it out until Mother had time to cut it for me. The curls and tangles were simply horrid. Why, I was even mistaken as a little girl because of that. It certainly doesn't help that I was named Lucille. Freshly pressed shirt is enough to chase away the last signs of sleepiness. The feel of crisp and clean cloth in my hands is a clear marker to start the day. Smoothing down my suit and my hair with a sigh, I steel myself for the horrors. The horrors that come with taking care of a child.
Good morning, Tia Luke.
Speak of the devil, and she shall appear. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, Kylie grins up at me as soon as I open the bedroom door. She swings the backpack she's clutching, hitting my leg in a show of impatience and looking entirely unapologetic for it.
Did you just wake up? Don't tell me you forgot. It's our play date today.
I doubt I'd forget. Kylie's visits are frequent enough that they've found a way into my schedule. There's supposed to be visits to her godmother. But we can't pick who a child gets along with. So long as I'm not busy, her father can drop her off for the day. Which is all well and good for me if it makes Suarez focus on work I've given him. Besides, she's a bright child, tolerable. Kid's got a good head on her shoulders and can get pretty mature for her age at times. Of course, they have to thank me for that. Her parents can take partial credit, but Hana and I have been there for this kid since she was just a small babe. Why, I can still remember the first time I saw her. It was during her baptism. The only reason I was there was to accompany Hana, who was to be named godmother. She was such a tiny thing, not even a year old, and swaddled in her mother's arms in white cloth. It was the first time I really saw an infant up close enough to hold one at least. It had been terrifying to be given a little kid to carry after the whole water ceremony. I've never done so before that, to hold a tiny life in my arms. I could have just dropped her on her head, and this little tyke before me would have stopped existing then and there, or would have just been, you know, inhibited. But the child just smiled at me, babbling nonsensical words as children do, and when they start to get older, and clinging to me even as I try to hand her off to Hana. She had thought it hilarious and adorable. My suit had been a mess, and I was nearly an anxious wreck by the time I handed her back to her mother. Yet it was pleasant, too. To think I might be doing it again soon. With Hana's children. With our children. Kids of my own flesh and blood. In a few months' time, I'll be cradling them in my arms, hearing the ring of their laughters against my ears. It's a tender thing to think about. And despite myself, in spite of all the fears that I will never be good enough for them, I'm actually looking forward to it.
Of course I didn't, you little rugrat. I just had to take care of something before you arrived.
Really? Well, I guess that's fine. As long as he told me for work like last time.
Really? Now why don't we go back down and have breakfast in the parlor?
I already ate at home. Papa made one of his tortilla de patatas. He wouldn't let me leave until I finished every bite.
Ah, the Suarez's infamous tortilla de papatas. Those things are a hazard. You could probably use one to bludgeon someone into submission with how huge they are. It's a miracle Kylie can still be so energetic. I had trouble staying awake the first time I had one. Speaking of staying awake...
Well, I need some coffee in me at the very least. But if you'd like, you can jump straight to dessert.
Yes! Dessert, please!
It's easy enough to manage Kylie with promises of sweets, thankfully. The hard part is managing her before she gets the sweets, because I nearly have a heart attack when the kid races down the stairs. Just the thought of her slipping a break in her neck is enough to make me rush down after her.
Slow down, the food isn't going anywhere.
The food is going somewhere. In my tummy.
Jesus fucking Christ. Children.
With a shake of my head, I usher Kylie towards the parlor and order a maid to bring her food for us. Whatever breakfast there is, along with a cup of coffee for me and an ice cream for Kylie. But I can't leave the kid alone for too long, unless I want to let her turn the other room into a slaughter ground. True to my expectations, I've only left Kylie alone for a few minutes, but she's already made herself comfortable. The stuff from her backpack has been left scattered across the room, from coloring books and crayons to toys. She is well equipped to amuse herself with no trouble, though I can certainly breathe a little easier if she won't bring her doll along every time she visits. The thing is creepy! Narcissa, or Sissa, is a creepy little bugger. It doesn't help when Kylie left her during one. Finding the thing at the bottom of the stairs, staring up at me at 3 o'clock in the effing morning is a memory that won't be leaving me anytime soon. Even now it stares at me from where it's seated. I'm only tempted to just throw the thing into the fireplace and banish it from whence it came. I can buy her a prettier doll, a better toy. I will break it, find a way to get rid of it. If it wasn't from Hana, and if only Kylie isn't so attached to it. The thing is some antique doll she found for the brat's 6th birthday. One of kind. My darling Hana loves her so. And Kylie does try to be a good goddaughter. She just can't keep her interest long with the wife. It's not something that Hana does wrong on her part. She does try so very, very hard. It's just that she doesn't quite know how to really handle children. She'd never been around other children when she was young, surrounded by protective adults who catered to her every whim and worried for her safety every minute. When she isn't able to keep up with Kylie, her first instinct is to be strict. Impose rules on the child, treat her as if she is made of spun glass, like every movement might break her. I at least have some idea from being around street kids. I know the games they've played and how they think. I know that scraps and skinned knees are all part of childhood. Even with how I grew up, I had time to be a child and not some sheltered heiress. With Kylie, as behaved as she can be, with her toys and her books and arts, she has to use up all her energy somehow. To run around the playground and make a mess in the mud, or to even just fake wrestle for a short while. Let her be a child when she wants, I'll say. If it becomes too much, just bribe her with sweets or ship her back to her papa. Problem solved. Unfortunately, Hana isn't quite up for those sort of things most of the time, thinking it'll spoil the child. It turns the whole playdate awkward every time. Taking the last seat left, I pluck one of her coloring books from the table to see it filled with dinosaurs. Not exactly what I expect to see for a girl, but it doesn't hurt anyone. If she wants to play with dolls and cars, or dolls with their cars, what do I care? She once put dolls' tutus on model cars even.
Oh, this is a new one. The last one you had was filled with horses, wasn't it?
Those were ponies, Tio. They're much cuter than horses. But we went to a dinosaur zoo, and it was awesome! Dinosaurs are my favorite.
I have no idea what that is, but it must be something. I'm only familiar with the T-Rex myself.
Yeah, they found, fossils of its claws. They're really long. They think the whole theory might be a bazillion meters tall, even bigger than a T-Rex. Sisa says it'll be big enough to eat all of my classmates.
Sisa. She only laughs as I scrunch my nose and grimace.
Takako says you're making a really funny face.
Takako?
Taka who?
Takako, a friend I made.
Oh, Takako is the ghost. Alright. I have to stop and look around, expecting one of the help to be there. The child does have a way of befriending just about anyone, as long as she puts her mind to it. Yet the two of us are completely alone. Thankfully, she only finds my disturbed look as another funny grown-up expression. That might be a lot more problematic than whether she plays with dolls or cars, though. Both the thoughts of Sisa giving Kylie ideas, and one of said ideas being massacre by a dinosaur. Something I probably need to bring up with her father aside from work. But beyond murderous dinosaurs, creepy dolls, and imaginary friends, I find no trouble with Kylie. She's as energetic and precocious as any tyke her age can be. She's an angel if she can get comfy and settled in after getting her sweets. We tuck into our waffles as soon as food is brought in. Our waffles, because she wanted her own plate to go with the ice cream as soon as she saw mine. A fresh plate of berries is brought in as well, which really goes great with the rest of this feast, as Kylie puts it. And if I indulge in the sweetness, I have a cup of black coffee to pair it off with. With our bellies full, Kylie grows content with just scribbling on a scrap of paper and calmly chatting about her week. She talks of her older brother Rowan and their parents, how they plan to go to the Block's land in Berkshire for the winter holidays. She talks of Miss Pink, and I have to shift my legs to become comfortable once more, the memory of my initial meeting with her is still fresh on my mind. She talks of the sad man in the park and of her new friend who likes to play hide and seek when she's not sniffing in the loo. When, finally, she finds nothing new to talk about, she goes back to her drawings. That'll change as soon as her stomach settles, of course, the calm before the storm. Because, behaved as she is right now, I can feel the curiosity just radiating off of her. There's a restlessness buzzing under her skin, and a question on the tip of her tongue, as they often are with children her age. But for now, I can take this piece with no complaint for however long it stays. I have fun with the crayons as well, at the child's insistence, even if I can't really draw. Kylie using the black crayon that leaves me with the blue one. I absentmindedly start to draw a puppy to the best of my abilities. It's as I attempt to give the doodle dogs another eye that Kylie breaks their silence.
Tio? Where did Tia go? I saw them leave when I got here. Tia didn't look so good.
I've been expecting a lot of different questions. The kid always has a whole bunch of them ready for me, but I can only sigh when she posed this particular one.
She's just going to the doctor's for a checkup.
And as kids go, there are follow-up questions.
And you didn't go with her?
Well, you were going to be here, sweetie, so I had to stay behind.
So she's all alone? At the hospital?
Oh, no, of course not. Tia has Johannes and her maid and a guard. She's got plenty of company.
Yeah, but you're not with her.
If I didn't know any better, I'd say the kid is trying to make me feel guilty. I want to say that the little tyke is evil for making me feel so.
But I understand. When I get sick, Papa and Mama have to leave me with their maids, too.
Oh, they don't take care of you?
That doesn't sound right. Even my mum took care of me when I was sick as a child.
Well, they're always busy with work.
Oh, I see. I guess that's no good.
I know she doesn't mean to accuse me of anything. But as her father's boss, maybe I do overwork Suarez a bit. There's a lot of responsibilities that only he is capable of carrying out. Delegation is a thing, sure, but when said responsibilities are legally questionable at best, putting others to the task isn't always an option. But
Maybe your papa is in need of some vacation time. He deserves it, doesn't he? He's a hard worker. I could arrange something for the holidays.
I could cut him some slack. Some of his assignments can wait. Can't do much for her mom. She isn't one of my employees, but this would have to suffice. It'll be worth it if it makes the little girl happy, because just like that, the somber look on her face turns into one of pure joy. It's like looking at a little sun, warm and bright. It's nice to do something kind every now and then.
Would you really, Tio?
Would you like that?
I'd like that very much, yeah. We can go to this museum. There's one with lots of cool trains and planes. I like trains. And there's the local Manor theme park and a monkey forest. There's a kid adventure farm too, the wacky warehouse, and a play barn as well. And
Whoa, slow down there, Munchkin. I know you're excited, but I think you should let me schedule your dad's day off before you plan a whole year's worth of stuff.
There's an embarrassed giggle, but she does reel herself in enough to calm down, which is a feat in and of itself. It's obvious how giddy she is. And if she wasn't looking forward to the holidays before, like any child should, she does now.
I think Tia would be really happy if you were with her. You could have told me you needed to go to the hospital with her, Tio. I won't be angry.
I'd love to be with her, but I wanted to spend time with you, Munchkin. And she told me to stay. Besides, I don't like hospitals. They always smell like alcohol. And not the good kind either.
I don't think anybody likes hospitals. They're scary. But you said Tia is brave and strong.
That she is.
A content silence comes over us as we go back to scribbling. Though I stop when I'm done with my blue dog, cringing at how awful it looks. Kylie reprimands me for that because I should be like her. The little tyke goes through several sheets of paper, one drawing after another. Practicing, she says, because practice makes perfect. Not to mention there's a drawing contest coming up in class, and she just has to beat Tim from Class D, who says girls can't be superheroes. Clay gets a turn too, where we start sculpting food and pretending we're Michelin chefs? What is that? When we're too tired from tossing pizza, making cakes, there's no trouble in finding another activity more relaxing for the both of us. I find myself invested in reading The Picture of Dorian Gray once more. Often I lose myself in the pages of the book. However, it is rather difficult to do so when I'm trying to keep an eye and an ear out for Kylie. I've been reading the same paragraph over and over again. Inexplicably, I can feel my skin crawl when the girl sits with Narcissa by the parlor's fireplace, humming, singing. Though I ignore it long enough to hear only the tail end of the song.
Everything is up in flames, up in flames, up in flames. Everything is up in flames, my fair lady.
That Takako is a bad influence. Alright, next time we shall hear more about the adventures of Tio Luke and Kylie, and Takako and Sissa, and whatever other else.